I hope everybody else had a good end of the summer.
I had to put my horse down or my old mare down on
Oh
Monday night.
no, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
it was time. And she told us that.
If she was ready, you were saying she was not feeling great.
Yeah. So it's been a week.
Oh, has been a whole week.
Mm-hmm.
That must be strange because there's a lot of work to take care of a horse, isn't there?
Yeah. Well, she's one of two, and yeah, it was a very intense 3 hours. Anyway, we're not here to talk about my horse. We're here to have nest talk.
Okay, so we're live streaming and we have our everybody who's come in has been admitted. So we might as well get started. Um, Today we have a guest speaker at the Indie Author Meetup for September. And we want to welcome Vanessa. And Joyce, do you want to introduce her?
I'm just gonna say this is Ness, the amazing winner of a first indie winner of a Nebula Award. Go for it, Ness.
Okay, I'm Vanessa Ricci-Thode, she, they. I'm in Waterloo, Ontario, which is near Toronto. It's cold and miserable and I don't like it. I'm a summer girl, so I am not happy with the weather. So yes, I am the first self-published author to win a Nebula Award. There was one other book that was self-published that has won, and that was Kat Valente's back in 2009, but she was a hybrid publisher, a hybrid author at that point. So I'm first full indie to win the Nebula, which is wild. I still don't always believe that it happened, except, the award arrived finally, so it's hard to deny. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what to talk about, so that's me.
Well, not to interrupt you, but do you have the award there? Can you show it off?
If you want to see it, sure, just a sec. Let's not spill my water all over everything. Also, my dog apparently wants to see the award. It's
Well, that's
heavy.
important. Ooh.
There we go. You can see the one little gem is very dark. Anyway, it's very reflective. It's very neat. It's very heavy. There it is at the bottom.
Nice.
Oh, okay. Back again. It's hard not to get the reflection, but apparently all the awards are individual. They handpick the gems. The gems in this one, I've got the book, match the book.
Oh, so the decorations are gems? Are decorated with
Yes.
gems?
Yeah, so inside, I don't remember the name of all of them, but there's rose quartz over here, and this one is amethyst, and I think this one is opalite, and I forget what this guy's called, but it's purple and dark and sparkly. Um, and yeah, all of the awards had different sort of planets in them. Um, I saw some of the other winners showing off pictures of their awards, and one thing we know, oh, they all look different. And so the office at SIFWA had actually they handpicked each gem in everybody's awards. They're all individual, um, made just for us, which I thought was really nice. So, so yeah, that's the award. That's me. That was the book.
So just out of curiosity,
Mhm.
um, how many books have you written?
Um,
Maybe not written, published.
Yeah, the number of books I've written is a lot, but the number of published is smaller. I haven't published everything I've written. Um, I think it's book number 8 I'm releasing in November.
And what number is the book that won?
6, I think. Um, yeah, so this book came out in 2024. Um, and that was the only book I put out that year. I've been having a lot of struggles with burnout. Actually, just a few days before the Nebula was announced, I released this book, and that's the only one I've got out so far this year. Follow-up hopefully coming um, in November. I'm working on the final edits for it right now. So yeah, that was my sixth book that won the Nebula Award. And the
Oh,
only kids book I've written. I've
oh, is
never
it the
written
only one?
I've never written for children before. I'm not a children's author. I primarily write for adults. But my daughter was really into Percy Jackson, and I had read some of the middle grade that she was reading, and I was like, I think I can do this. She just went by in the background there, but I actually consulted with her when I was planning the book, and just, does this sound like something you'd want to read? Because I just wrote the book for her. Um, and I do a lot of hand selling. I do a lot of markets and cons and stuff like that. And I have these shiny dragon books that the kids are like, "Ooh, dragons!" And then their parents are like, "No, those are for adults. You can't have them." So I wanted to write something for my daughter, and I wanted to fill that age gap on my table so that when I was selling books, there would be something for the kids to read. And that was why I wrote this book. Um, and my daughter read each chapter as I wrote them. And I wrote it in 3 weeks. It took a
So she
couple of
read each chapter. How much feedback did she give you?
um she's quiet, so not a lot. Just, yeah, that's fine, or this doesn't make any sense, or that sort of thing. We talked about I'm an outliner. So I had quite an outline in advance, and I just went through, this is what I'm thinking, and so she gave feedback at that stage quite a bit more. And then as each chapter she read them, it was just sort of like a stamp of approval. Which was nice because writing outside my comfort zone was a lot, but it was exciting too. And yeah, drafted it very quickly.
So when you found out you were nominated, did you understand why? Anybody else want to jump in with questions? Please do it. I'm just asking what I would ask her if we were sitting at the bar and I was pumping her for information. But please feel free to ask whatever questions.
Okay, so sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, sorry. I didn't mean to distract you, but I want to get audience participation. So like when it was nominated and you found out, did you instantly know why, or did you have to think about it?
I mean, it was not really, didn't have to think about it. I mean, obviously it enough people nominated it for me to have gotten the call. Um, I had been um, letting people know about my eligibility. I didn't actually think anybody would nominate it, so I was very shocked. I was as shocked to get nominated as I was to win. I really didn't think I was going to win. I read the whole ballot and the other books in my category, and I was very certain somebody else would get it. Um, so yeah, when I was sitting here on Nebula Night watching the ceremony and getting more and more nervous as it got closer to my category, I really didn't think they were going to call my name. So when Jonathan said it, the gasp that came out of me, and then I started ugly crying and left the room.
Was that a surprise to you, or is that your general reaction for things like that?
Oh no, I was very surprised. Yeah.
Yeah,
I- it's
you were
kind of
talking
a,
you were
oh,
talking on social media a little bit about um, you thought people might be interested in hearing about how the award impacted your sales. So how's
Right.
it impacted your sales?
It's been interesting because I wasn't getting a lot of online sales for the book. I don't know how to market a kid's book, which doesn't help, but generally my online sales are kind of meh. Um, and they really exploded. There was a nice little bump when the nomination first went out, but I had put the book up for free as part of the reading package. But a lot of people did buy it anyway. And then after it won, it was just crazy. So I was going from maybe a sale a month to many sales a month. And year to date for this book, um, for wide there was 124 ebook sales, on Amazon 130. compared to pretty much nothing. So, I mean, I know those aren't huge numbers compared to some of the other guys who are doing really well in, you know, the SIFWA indie group. But it was definitely a huge increase for me. Um, and then comparatively, like being a Nebula finalist and then a winner has really helped me with the newest book, which came out, like I said, 3 days before the Nebulas. It has done about equal to what my award winner has done. And it's only been 3 months since the book came out, and it's already made the same number of sales. I did more to market it, but I also know that being a Nebula finalist definitely helped out. One of the biggest things that helped was John Scalzi let me be on the Big Idea blog, and normally that's not accessible to self-published authors. And that one thing did more for my visibility than any of the paid promo that I did, by far. The spike of sales that day it was almost as big as the spike in sales the day the Nebulas were announced. So it was a huge impact. Um, and I know we were talking in the Discord about visibility for indies, and I think that that's probably a really big thing that we're up against, because for one blog to have done that much for me was really eye-opening.
Well, I would say that for, Scalzi's blog, it's people who are interested in science fiction, and you have a science fiction book they can get for their kids or grandkids. So that
Mhm.
makes it kind of an easy buy once they see it there. So that's like your audience. How about libraries or bookstores? Have you gotten any interest from any of them?
So that's an interesting thing. I looked at the print sales between the two books, and my Nebula award-winning book has 6 times the print sales. Um, and I expect I'll have to wait until the spring when we have public lending right here in Canada, and it'll tell me how many libraries the book is in. So I'll have to wait for that to come out to be sure, but I do suspect that a lot of it has been libraries. Um, Bookstores locally have carried it. I found people at markets have been, oh, I saw that in Indigo. Indigo is like the Canadian version of Barnes and Noble. So perfect strangers seeing my book at markets going, oh, I saw that book in Indigo. Um, so all over Southern Ontario, the book is in stores. And I know that I was talking with the bookseller at the Indigo here, and she had said, "Oh yeah, we follow the awards." So it did get picked up by some bookstores because of the award.
What
And
about, did you do anything special to kind of besides putting your name on the reading list, I'm sure, or putting it on, did you do anything special to get attention for the nomination in the first place?
I did make an eligibility post on my blog, and I made a silly little graphic to put on social media. And so I would just, I mean, I did what the trad authors do. That's just sort of like, this works for them, I'm going to try it. So with a lot of things, that's what I do is, what are the trad people doing?
what do the
Um,
trad people do?
so they do. They're like, this is what I have eligible for awards this year. And so that was what I did. I was like, I have this thing eligible for an award this year. Um, I can show you. Can I share? I can share. Okay. So this is the graphic that I made. Um, I just did it in Canva really quickly, just a little something silly to put up, and I included which of the two big awards, because I'm not familiar with like all of the awards that kids books are, and now I kind of wish that I was, but those were the two that I knew about. So I just was like, these are the categories that it's in, and this was the only thing I had for 2024. And I just made a silly little graphic and shared it on social media.
Which platforms, if you don't mind my asking?
Particularly Blue Sky for the most part. I think I put it on I think I put it on Instagram at some point, but those are the two platforms that I'm on, and I primarily use Blue Sky. Um, I'm most active there.
Okay.
So do you know who nominated it? Did anybody come out of the woodwork and say, I nominated it, I'm so excited it won? No.
Um, I have had people tell me they were very excited that it won, but I don't know, nobody said that they nominated or that they voted for it or anything like that. Just a lot of people very excited that it won. And did have a couple of friends who were trad published who, privately said, I hope you win beforehand. Um, so that was really nice to see the support from not just other indies, but like some of my trad friends as well, and hybrid authors that I know. There were a lot of people who were excited for it. Just the nomination was huge. I was like, I don't even need to win. Just being nominated is phenomenal. So it was very excited. But yeah, winning has just been astounding. It's I don't know that it's got a really long tail. Sales have really sort of slowed down, and it hasn't done anything in terms of anything else to advance my career. But one thing it's done is shut up the imposter syndrome. Every time it tries to rear its head, I'm just like, Nebula Award, shut up.
Okay, so that works for you. Okay, that's good. And did it help with the burnout? I'm currently in burnout myself, so it's not that I'm going to win any awards because I'm not even going to apply for them, but did it help or did it make it worse at all?
It didn't affect the burnout at all, actually. It's very exciting. Winning an award it's phenomenally cool. But in terms of the burnout is about just sort of where the industry is and how much I hate promotion. So that's what I'm really struggling with is how do I get my books to readers? And I don't write in the really popular categories. I don't write romance and I'm not military sci-fi or any of that. So it's very hard to get seen. I have a romantasy, but it's queer and it's sapphic, and I know people like the MM mix more, and so um, it's just not a popular category that I write in, and sometimes I wish I could write very quickly in more popular categories. But so getting people to see my books has been really difficult. And then there's, all of the stuff in the industry that's going on and these lawsuits I can't take part in because I'm Canadian and all of that that's going on. And it's been really frustrating, and I don't really want to write anymore um, because I write. Well, I know a lot of people write for themselves, and I don't. I write because I want people to read it. So, not having people read my books um, has really done a lot to demotivate me to keep going. So, when I won the Nebula Award, I'm like, now I have to reevaluate. Does this change things? Do I keep going? What does it look like to keep going? Because yeah, the burnout is very real. It's been a real slog editing this last book. I just don't want to.
Well, I imagine it's also a bit of a challenge given things like I can't remember. Are you on itch.io as well, or?
Yes, and that has been a recent nightmare as well. Because yeah, I was doing really, really well. When I was looking at the numbers, sales on itch are about half of my wide sales. So fully a quarter of my sales come from itch. And for people who aren't familiar, it's a gaming platform, but it's also welcoming to indies. So a lot of indie authors were setting up there and doing bundles, and they were really popular. And then sort of out of nowhere, payment processors have said, oh, well, you can't sell not safe for work content. And that just sort of cratered the platform. Um, because there's a lot of queer content on there too. So a lot of queer authors got caught up in that. Um, I had some people who were writing books that didn't have any overt adult content got delisted as well, and then people have lost trust for the platform. So a lot of readers aren't really looking there anymore either. Um, so it's been tough. Like there's all of these things. You finally find something that you think is working, and then the rug gets yanked out from under you, which has really been very exhausting as well.
I'm sure that contributes to the burnout.
Oh yeah.
'Cause, I mean, I feel the same way myself because I mean, I was selling well on Barnes and Noble, and then they had their problems with their bankers a while back, and I was lucky because I was doing it through Draft to Digital and advanced the funds, but still that pulled the rug out of that platform. So
Yeah.
do you think Itch will come back from that? I'm kind of
Yeah.
I'm I'm kind of curious because I have my next one releasing. I kind of want to put it up there, but I'm not kind of nervous.
Yeah, it's hard to say. It looks like it's been rebounding a little bit more lately, but as long as payment processors can still have control over what's sold, I'm not so sure that it'll be as successful as it used to be. So, um, yeah, it's hard to say. It's one of those things you have to wait a bit longer, I think, to see how it works out. Um, I know a lot of people are still putting pressure on the payment processors to back down. But I don't know how that's going, how long it'll take. I know there is here in Canada, there is a petition sponsored by my MP, shockingly. She doesn't usually do that sort of thing, um, to look into this and possibly have some regulations to keep payment processors doing their job and not being the morality police. Because obviously these things don't stop with um, adult content. Anything you don't like suddenly becomes adult content. So,
Yeah, I guess it's there. I guess the origin of it was a small Australian group that put pressure on Visa and MasterCard, to be specific,
yeah.
and then through to Stripe, which that's a big deal because Stripe is the payment processor for Medium. It's the payment processor for um, PayPal, or not PayPal. It's a payment processor for Substack and Ghost as well.
Yeah. Yeah, going after the payment processors is tricky. And so, I mean, I'm hoping that the Canadian government will take it seriously, but it's hard to say. I don't have a lot of faith in our government right now. So, I mean, it's better than what's happening in the US, but um, a lot of people with power don't care about art, and it's really frustrating.
We need to get some people. I mean, it's talking about this. There's so many things that can affect what we're doing as authors. And if you had asked me several months ago, oh, the payment processors could end up being a problem, I would have went, no, that's not. But now,
No, no, that was a problem before. That for writers who write really erotic, that has always been like they get constantly um, banned or shadow banned on Facebook or have ads that get. And I know for certain there's other certain things that affect science fiction. Like if you have like a blaster gun or something, apparently it can get you banned from doing ads or your content. But for erotic content, people, it's always been. And I think just recently, probably because of what is happening in the US, people are getting really anxious to about what is adult content. And we don't really like human on human interaction. We much prefer, violence or dystopia than actual, affectionate relations between people. But okay, so knowing this and having just said this, then, Ness, are you interested in doing more children's books? Does your daughter have any ideas for you?
It was an experiment. I wanted to see how it would go, and it really blew up beyond anything I could have ever expected. Um, at present, I don't have any more plans to write any more kids' books, probably not YA either. My daughter's 14 now, and she's getting more into the YA stuff, and she's really into manga, and I don't write that at all. So, so I think what I'm working on is sort of diverging away from my daughter's tastes. So, um, more looking at things that I enjoy and writing books that I want to see. And this book was one that was a book that would have done me some good as a kid, which I think is something that a lot of adults write as books that we needed when we were kids, when we were teens, when we were younger adults. Um,
Can you
and
say
I,
more about that? Because I'm
sorry?
curious. Can you say more about that? I'm curious.
Well, I'm queer and I didn't realize that until I was in my 30s because there was no language for it, there was no media for it. Being bisexual was a joke. Um, it was a phase. So it wasn't a label that I thought applied to me. I didn't know what asexual was at all either. Non-binary wasn't a thing. So all of these labels that apply to me just really didn't exist, 30 years ago when I was a teenager. So having these books that are very upfront and have these labels, have characters talking about what their identity is and what it means to them, um, are things that are very affirming. And like my kid doesn't have to go through any of that. She's got so much more media available to her than I had, especially because I grew up very rural. There wasn't a lot of access to much. Um, so like what she has is so much different than what I had as a kid. And so like the kids who are younger, they know who they are a lot sooner because they have the language for it through these books and through this media that isn't afraid to talk about it. And that's why, these censorship bans through payment processors and everything else, the book bans and whatever's going on, um, they're really troubling because, my award-winning book would get banned in Florida, absolutely, and most places in the United States, and probably in Alberta here now. And how much longer until, it's spreading so fast, and I don't think people are doing enough to fight it. Um, so yeah, this is a book. The main character is asexual, her sister is non-binary and genderqueer and questioning, and there are other queer characters. I write very queer normative worlds, and that makes a certain kind of person deeply uncomfortable. And that's the sort of thing they don't want children reading about, um, which is unfortunate because, doesn't reading about being trans doesn't turn your kid trans. Your kid was already trans. They just know what the word is. Um, and it's,
Are you
I
getting
could go on forever, but I won't.
no,
Oh,
but
well, I
are
was
you
going.
getting any pushback on that, or has it been fairly quiet?
Um, So far, it's been fairly quiet. I live in a very progressive area, so um, the schools here that do have it know what the content is. I talked with the teachers and the librarians where the book is in schools, because mostly it's where my daughter went to school. So they know me, and so they were happy to bring the book in. Um, I was actually just complaining that I just found out yesterday that my school board is refusing to carry the book simply because it's self-published. Um,
Hmm.
so they will take books by local authors and put them in the schools, and they've done it for other authors that I know. So I approached the school board and I just, explained who I was and that it had won an award. And um, yeah, their reply was, "Come back to us when your publishing situation changes."
Ooh,
Which,
that's not.
oh yeah, that really made me angry. They're gonna hear from me when I'm done with these edits. They're gonna hear from me. Um, so yeah, they've got an education on the way. Um,
Yeah, yeah. So, of course, because you are queer and living in a kind of a queer normative world, did you have to really think hard about how you used the language and how you phrased it, or was that where you were getting feedback from your daughter?
no, no, I didn't put a lot of thought. I mean, I have written a lot of queer books up to this point and have gotten better about talking about it. I've actually, people I know who have read the book have actually commented about how naturally it all fits in. A lot of the times It's not an issue book. It's an adventure book. There just happen to be a lot of queer people in it. Um, and I've gotten the comments that, it's really well done, that it's just there, it's just part of the world. It's not, hitting you over the head with these people are queer, like some content does. Um, and so yeah, it was really easy for me to write it. I thought about word choice, but I always think about word choice, and how certain phrases are going to land. And of course, I do have to think a little bit differently for kids because sometimes this is the first time they're encountering these different terms and whatever. So I want to make sure that the vocabulary is somewhere and that's one of the different things for writing for kids is the vocabulary. Um, I'm pretty confident that nerdy kids who are reading this kind of book are happy to go to a dictionary and look up a word they don't understand. So I'm not too worried about that, but just making sure things are phrased clearly and so that it's very understandable for kids who's, still learning.
What about sentence structure and things like that? I'm curious because I've never really tried to write middle grade YA, and I've wondered about how much of an effort it is to switch over from adult to that age group, as far
I
as not just language choice, but sentence structure, paragraph structure, story structure.
Yeah, story structure is not that much different. Um, Kids books have a lot of really dark content in it, so subject matter also, has a wide variety. Um, It was sentence. I did pay attention to sentence structure. I didn't want anything too long, a couple of longer sentences just to throw in a bit of a challenge. But for the most part, I tried to keep sentences shorter and um, but also not to be condescending about it. Um, I mean, this is a book for 9 to 12 or 13-year-olds, so they're pretty smart. And I think the ones that are actually reading a lot probably have good vocabulary and reading comprehension already anyway. So I always assume that I have smart readers and um, I don't bring the language down too much anyway, um, which it's not for everybody, but that's fine. I'm not for everybody.
Now, just curious because, stepping away from, and so has it filled your hopes on when you're doing your hand selling to have young, have that younger book? Because I know I was thinking about it when I was doing hand selling.
Yeah. Yeah, it is nice because there are, people that they see the books and I tell them, oh, these ones are for adults, and they're like, oh, okay. And then I'm like, but this one's for kids. And get talking to them about it and they get really excited about it. And so I have had a lot of people buy that one for kids. There is a little girl who's local. She's adorable. I love her. She's so enthusiastic. I met her and her family at an event. I think it was sometime last year. It was a Christmas market, and she stood out because she spent a lot of time negotiating with her mother. My four adult books I rate them PG-13. So some parents are fine to buy that for their kids. And so her mom was like, all right, you can have it, but you can't read it until I can't remember what age she had to turn, but it was in the summer. Um, but like they did this a lot of negotiating. And then I think it was 2 years ago. And then last summer I saw them and I was like, oh, I have this book that you can read now. You don't have to wait until your birthday. And so they bought that and she was very happy and excited. And now she's old enough to have read the first adult book in the series. And I just saw them 2 weeks ago at a market and they came back and she like ran across it was in a parking lot. She ran across the parking lot because she saw me to come buy the next book in the series. So
Wow.
that was really exciting. So I got to talk to her and her mom and her dad about, how she's really loving the series and how she's enjoying the books. And um, so I let them know that the next one will be out just before Christmas.
It's nice to get the fans young.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
and I mean that was one thing like when Jonathan presented the award that he had spoken about his kids and how, his love of reading started when he was young. And I think that's true for most people is you get into reading, you read these books for kids when you're younger. And so that's another reason why I had wanted to have a children's book to get fans while they're younger. Get them started, keep them reading.
Anybody else? I mean, I don't want to monopolize, but I'm
Um,
fascinated by this because I had kind of a similar experience when I was selling my hand selling. I haven't done it since COVID, but I was hand selling a fantasy series, and I had kind of the same reaction. Although I could, it was like, well, these were high school kids, and I said, well, yeah, you can read these. But I ended up having some short stories that families could buy for their kids. But I did.
mhm.
I literally had one girl walk in, see me, and charge the desk, charge the table.
Yeah. The most enthusiastic readers that I've had so far have been younger, um, which was another incentive for me to write the book for kids. Um, I did have again at another a market that I had done at a Christmas when the fourth book in my series came out last year. I had this woman who, again, a beeline straight for me, and she was like, "We bought your books over the summer, and my kid devoured them immediately." And she was like, she followed me online so that she could see where I would be, so that she could pick up the fourth book directly and she bought it for her kid for Christmas. Um, so I have had some of that too, where people who are local are following me online so that when a new book comes out, they can know where I'm going to be at a market and come pick it up directly from me because then they can get it signed too.
What's your balance of ebook to print sales, roughly?
Um, I sell way more print books. Um, and a lot of that is I'm just better at hand selling face to face than I am at the tinkering and whatever. I don't buy ads. I hate Amazon. I hate Facebook, so I'm not buying ads at either one of those. So with no ads, I don't get a lot of traction online. So yeah, the print books, even with having won the awards, my print sales are still, I think, up over my ebook sales.
Are you direct with Kobo?
No, I use Draft to Digital for almost everything except Amazon. Um, I
Because
just,
Kobo does something which I didn't know they did, and I don't know who you distribute to the library through, but they will actually put book collections together to run by librarians. Um, so I don't know if you have spoken to them, but I would think they're doing something right now for spooky books for October. Your
mhm.
book would kind of fit in there perfectly. You might just send a quick note to Draft to Digital because I really feel like, libraries are eager to find good books, and it's one of the things that they really get um, concerned about when it comes to indies. It's like, how do I know it's a good book, right? It doesn't have somebody else's seal of approval on it, but you do. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think you should consider that.
Yeah, I do get some promotions through you can sign up to get promotions through Draft to Digital. It's
This
not
is
as
a
much as if you
whole
go
different
direct.
one. This is like you actually submit on a spreadsheet. It's very strange. I had never seen it before. I don't know
Hmm.
if it's new, but I know they distribute to Overdrive,
Hmm.
and they're trying to encourage authors, I think, to distribute through them to Overdrive. And I
Yeah.
was like blown away by what they offered. It was very cool.
Yeah, my books are available on Overdrive and Hoopla, and I just checked the library box on Draft to Digital, and it is available through those. I got a lot of library sales this year. I can see in the Draft to Digital it says in the
Did you
breakdown.
get them before? Um,
I got a good number before, yeah, but it seemed like it was more, which is why I think that the print being so much higher is also because of libraries. Um, but I'll
Let
find
me
out.
look
I'm
we'll find
hoping.
out.
I'm really hoping that it's libraries. The
Do you
public
see
lending
it
right
fall over
is
to the States? Can you tell, like, the percentage that you're selling in the States versus Canada or the rest of the world?
it tells me on Amazon, but Draft to Digital doesn't. There might be some way somewhere I can dig in, but there's nowhere obvious to tell on Draft to Digital where it's from. Ingram Spark lets me know, and it's mostly American, but there's been quite a bit all over the place, so that's been kind of nice too.
And has Locus interviewed you yet?
No,
I
no.
haven't read it lately. I don't know.
No, no. I did send them review copies of my newest book. Um, but I don't know how long it takes them when things like it's a fairly new book, so they would have gotten it in early June, I think. So I don't know how long it would take if they were going to. And I don't know. Again, I'm not really familiar with these things because I just assume, oh, it's trad, it doesn't care. Because that's sort of been the attitude is well, trad doesn't care.
They are softening. They're softening a
Yeah.
little bit, Locus, but they still, I mean, I still think they need like something to hang their hook on.
hmm hmm
Obviously, a nebula is a big thing to hang your hook on.
Yes, I don't know. Maybe I should contact them and just ask, would it be worth my time to send you a copy of my Nebula award-winning book?
Well, here's a
Um,
question for you. Are
mhm.
you getting anybody who's won before reaching out to say, here's some good ways to capitalize on that, passing along hard-won wisdom?
Yeah, so John Wiswell, who is a delightful human being, made a Slack channel for all of the finalists, and that included me. So there were a lot of, as a first-time finalist, there were a couple of first-time finalists, and we were like, oh my God, what? And then when we won, it was like, holy crap, now what? And they did have a lot of advice. Um, and early on, I had contact from a film agent with clients who were interested and some interest from a translation scout. None of that has gone anywhere, but I was initially like, I don't know what to do with this. I don't have an agent. So,
Have you
um,
copyrighted your work?
sorry?
Oh, in Canada, it's an automatic copyright, isn't it?
No, it's the same as in the US.
Oh,
And that's what's with these lawsuits caught so many authors is everybody thinks, oh, it's automatic. It's not. There is a copyright office, and I did last week. I took some time and I registered all of my books with the Copyright Office. I don't know how it'll count for any of the lawsuits that are coming up. My most recent book was within the 90 days when I registered it, but that was the only one. But I did register them all just because I was like, well, apparently I'm doing this now. So,
I
yeah,
only
I,
said
I
that because
have.
of the film interest.
I don't know, maybe we'll
It's always
see.
good to have your copyright, just in case, if people are, interested in things like that. And it takes a long time, but I mean, I think translation, what about audio? Has anybody, no?
No audio yet. A friend of mine has offered to record the book for me, but we'll see. I am doing the recording myself of the new book. Um, I am very invested in audio because of the accessibility. I have met a lot of people at the markets that I do who have said, I love books, but I can't read them. A lot of people who are dyslexic, um, who can't read them and love listening to audiobooks. So I'm very motivated to have audiobooks for those people.
I
But
mean,
uh, but
sounds like
anyway,
it makes
to
you at least have a new little peer group that might be helpful and give you some thoughts about other things.
yeah, yeah. Um, a lot of the advice is very America centric, which I can't participate in right now because it's unsafe. Um, and then a lot of it is just, being out and being present in the industry and talking to people is sort of the this is what works. I'm like, okay, I don't know if that's going to work for me. And that's again, I'm in this situation where nobody has done this before. So I have no idea what to expect. It's led to a lot of freaking out. Um, and it has been nice to have this group of finalists be like, yeah, no, it's okay. Everybody freaks out. Um, but yeah, a lot of the advice that I've gotten is from people who have won in the past has been um, for awards to do anything, you really have to keep working. Like you have to keep knocking on the door with your award and being, hey, I won this award. don't forget about me.
Okay,
Um,
so now when you do a table and you're good at hand selling, are you going to have your Nebula right in front of that book, Nebula Award winner? That would definitely, I don't think I would trust myself to bring it out in public.
I brought it to one Pride event. But yeah, it's heavy and I'm really nervous about it. People thought it was really cool. Not a lot of people know what the Nebula Award is in the first place. So just saying it is enough. And I did put the sticker on the book. So
Oh, they give you stickers.
it's not well, yeah, they sent me the file for this. I asked for it. Um,
Okay, so that's printed on there.
It's printed on
Oh,
there
yeah.
now. I had stickers at the very beginning to put on the copies of the books that I had printed before I won, and now I have it printed on there. I got the cover redone with the badge on it. So I have that to point to, and I do tell people I often split table costs and share with friends who are local authors. And if I forget to mention that I'm an award-winning author, they're very quick to be like, and this is my friend who has won this award. So it is nice. The community is very supportive, and I was pleased to find that the trad pub authors who were finalists and winners with me haven't been, oh, you're one of those filthy indie pubs. So um I know that there are a lot of people saying that. And those people can kick
Oh,
rocks.
I mean, see, this is the thing.
Nobody said it to my face anyway.
You might not be
Um,
old enough, but I am old enough to be before indie. And somebody always has something nasty to say about somebody who wins an award just because there's just a nasty piece in their heart and they have to get it out. So you should ignore those people.
yes. I came into this expecting those people. I know what the industry thinks of us. Not everybody in it, but overall what the industry thinks of us. I mean, we can't get our books in reviews, you know. It's I can't get my books in libraries because it's published. So it's still indie is still treated like a dirty word
Well, some of
by
the
a lot of people.
self-publishing, not being able to get books in too. I mean, that's almost a good thing because when I had my traditionally published books in the bookstore and learned how it really worked, it's like sometimes, if they don't have shelf space, what you have is a box of your books in the back room waiting to be stripped in return. That's not, doesn't feel any better than not being able to get them in there.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's, we are, indie authors are making channels. They are creating the channels to do the things that we want to do. And
Yeah.
you obviously just helped, you know, make it clear there is a channel. Do the Hugos, and that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, yeah. I do love the flexibility of indie because, like I said, I had stickers made immediately that I could put on my books before I had them printed. Um, I as soon as the book, like as soon as it was announced that I was a finalist, um, I dropped the price of the book and I think it was 50% off for a month or something. And after I won, I dropped it to 99 cents to celebrate. And that definitely helped with sales. Um, but that's something that I can do, and I know that a couple of the other winners, their books did get put on sale, but it was like a week or two later. Whereas I could do it instantly, like that night I put my book on sale.
Bert Oliver, do
Yes,
you have a question? I
it's
see
not so
you.
much a question; it's more of a statement. I feel like you might be on the edge of being something new, right? So first there was the wave of indies, and then they started selling books, and some of them also make money, and it was ooh, that's a possibility too. And now you won a heavyweight award, so I think the school board experience should not discourage you. You might have a few more of those where they say, "Yeah, but you're still just an indie," and but I think you're something new. I think your identity has changed now from being indie to Nebula Award winning. I think that is the new identity now, and I think there should be commercial rise attached to it. There's a commercial place for that, and I hope you push it wherever you can because you might blaze the trail for other hopefuls, and you are the first, and that's never easy.
Yes, yeah. It's been a challenge to try to figure out what to do. I have a platform now. Um, I have a bit of privilege, and how can I use it? How can I spend it? How can I uplift the community with it? And that's something I've been thinking about a lot, just since I was nominated even, was, this is a big deal. Just being nominated was a big deal. Um, and just trying to think, how can I, with this thing that's happened to me, make it better for everybody else? And I'm still thinking about it. And I've asked some other indies, what can we do? What can I do? Um, and it's so new, everybody's like not really sure. And so I do, when people turn their nose up at indie, I'm like, yeah, well, this one won a big award, so quit being a snob.
You can talk about
Um,
it. That's really, I mean, you already sort of, you're like the icebreaker, right? You went in.
so I am
So
giving everybody who watches this blanket permission when someone is being a snob about indie to you can point to me. You can say, no, shut up, this won an award. You're wrong. Please do it. Please, please. I want everybody, whenever someone's being a snob, to be like, nope. Um, it's really weird to be in this place, in history as the first self-published author to win this big award. It's very weird, and I don't know what to do with it. But I am trying to find ways to push back against the narrative because clearly it's an incorrect narrative.
Yeah, I run into literary authors a bit who are still snobby, and I push back. And now I'm pushing back, say, hey, one of us won a Nebula Award. Of course, most of
Yes.
them are literary, so
Yeah.
you
Oh, yeah,
speculative
yeah.
fiction cooties,
I
but
know Premi Mohammed was talking about she went to some big writer and writing thing, and she's traditionally published and running up against that whole snobbery because everybody else there was literary, and then there she was with her magic and spaceships and whatever. And this is
and she's one
her
of the more
career is so incredible to have them trying to put her down.
yeah.
And I just don't put much stock in people who are like that, people who need to put someone else down to feel better about themselves. They're miserable. They can go be miserable somewhere else. But there are still people who, they're not miserable, they're not snobs. They just have this impression, oh, you self-publish because you're not good enough to traditionally publish.
if it
Or you
isn't,
Um,
don't add, or you don't add, or your work isn't edited, or
you
or
know, or
yeah.
yes, all
yeah,
these
it hasn't
excuses.
gone through the threshing machine.
Yeah.
But Margaret
Yeah.
Atwood, at the beginning of her career, got that because she was writing about women in a literary style, but also with commercial impact. So, I mean, you can always look at someone who's like, okay, I hear you. I think you're wrong. I'm just going to do my thing, which it seems like that's kind of what you're doing. So,
I joke frequently that I channel my inner mediocre white man, and it's worked fairly well. Um, and now that I've got this award behind me, I don't want to be arrogant with it, but to be very secure in the fact that now I'm a pretty good writer, actually. I chose this path. I had at one point hoped to go trad, but seeing what the trad industry is right now, I want no part of it. Um, Maybe someday, if it stops being quite so broken, I might want to be part of that world again. And even if I were offered a traditional deal right now, I would think about it really hard. Um, because what are they going to do for me other than, we can give you um, oh, menopause brain fart here. Um, nope, word's gone, completely gone. But the stamp of approval. Um, and I don't need trad for that. There's no money in it. So again, what does trad have to offer right now? Legitimacy, that was the word. A lot of people want the legitimacy of trad publishing, and I don't know. I don't find, like, I don't need that. I've got an award giving me legitimacy. And I think that a lot of people can look to the award who are indie and be like, no, we're legitimate. I really believe we're a natural part of the ecosystem. I feel like, and I've said this elsewhere, that I feel like indie published books are taking up the place of the shrinking mid list. Um, I think that, a lot of us would have been mid-listers 20, 30 years ago when there was still a healthy mid-list. Mid-list is disappearing, and as it does, we get more indie. And I don't think that's a mistake. And I think that it just needs to be normalized that, I mean, yes, there are a lot of indie books that are terrible. There are a lot of trad books that are terrible. And I say this every time someone's, snobby about it. There are trad published books that didn't get edited, or, got edited, but the version that was edited wasn't the one that was print. I mean, I know someone who had their book go to print with the wrong version. This happened. So the unedited version was the one that went to print.
I know two people that happened to, and
You know,
they correct it, but those first copies are not corrected.
and
Yeah,
sometimes
I
those,
mean, yeah, I mean, I recently edited or formatted a work for a friend who had gone through a traditional she was solid mid list. Well, actually, her publisher now just handed her backlist to her, except for 2 books, and said, "Hey, we know you do better indie." So, but I found where they had made a factual mistake, and I mean, it was it was the title of a song, a classical music song, and
mhm.
it's which is famous at the end of Fantasia in A Night at Bald Mountain, and she had put it Night on Bear Mountain, and they just let it slip through, and I went, "Oh, no, 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 no."
And yeah, with all of the, I mean, the editors in trad publishing are underpaid and overworked and exhausted and
Mhm.
burnt
They're
out.
really
So
small.
even if the book does go through editing, it's not the quality it was before, because, all of the money is going from away from the workers and to the C-suite, just like everywhere else. The quality is going down in trad pub because that's the disaster that it is. And that's one of the things about indie is, I run Kickstarters to pay for my covers and my editing, and I'm able to pay the editors what they deserve, and I get good work out of them for it.
So we didn't
So
ask you about that. That's really interesting. I know we're getting to the end, but if you
sure.
have, okay, that's a really interesting way to say you raise the money for your production. How do you do that?
Yes. I use Kickstarter. I don't know how they keep funding, but they do. So, I don't know. I wish I knew what I was doing that's working. Mostly I'm loud on social media. Oh, dogs. I put my dogs in bow ties and feed them tiny pancakes every week, and that seems to have gotten me a bit of a following. But yeah, so I'm just loud on social media, and my Kickstarters keep funding. So yeah, I use the Kickstarters because I don't want to pay out of pocket, and sometimes I can't, because if I'm getting a developmental editor and a sensitivity reader and a copy editor, that's 3 editors. That's a lot of money. Um, so paying for that is a lot. So I do run Kickstarters to help cover a lot of those costs. And also to know that people are interested in the work. If the Kickstarter weren't to fund, I'd be like, okay, nobody cares about this. I'm not going to publish it. Um,
I
and
mean,
yeah, so
that's very similar, and people don't know this. So I just want to say it. It's kind of similar to what traditional publishers do. I mean, you don't realize how many people they talk to. Are you going to buy this book? Would you read this book? How would you, make this? And then that's when they decide they're going to do it, or how many copies they're even going to print. So that just seems like really good business sense to me. To
yeah,
It's
I
just
think
fair.
that in a lot of ways, running crowdfunding campaigns is very similar to the pre-order campaigns that Trad leans really heavily on. And I know that early pre-order numbers can dictate how many printed copies a book gets. And so that for me, that's a role that Kickstarters fill is, if enough people want to give me enough money for it, that's a good sign that there will be an even wider audience. Because, I've run Kickstarters for a very short period of time. I don't have the mental capacity to do one of these 60-day Kickstarters or whatever. I do 2 weeks. Actually, the one for my the Kickstarter I ran for the book that won, it was a week long. I
Okay,
did a very quick
you
week
need to
long.
stop and explain this a little bit, because I know that people who are listening to this later are gonna want to hear this, because I know so many people who don't want to run 30-day Kickstarters.
Right. You don't have to run a 30-day Kickstarter. I do recommend that people read the book Kickstarter for Authors. And you can use your pre-launch. And that's what I did with the most recent one, was use the pre-launch more. And that is less, it's less intensive than when you've got the actual Kickstarter going. So you can get people signed up. You can work on getting project you love status. There's a lot that you can do pre-launch to help with the success later on. I only worried about that with the most recent one, but yeah, that
So
doesn't
you
have to
run a
be a long,
Kickstarter for 1 to 2 weeks. How many weeks does it take you to do the pre-work?
probably a couple months.
Okay. All right. So I think that's gold advice that
Yeah,
people should pay attention to.
So the
Set it
yeah,
up.
Kickstarter campaign is really just the tip of the iceberg, like with so many things. The real work is really in the before and the setup, the prep, everything.
yes, yeah. So I do a lot in advance, letting people know I'm going to be running a Kickstarter. It's going to be really fast, so pay attention and watch for it. I like Blue Sky because there isn't the algorithm, so stuff doesn't get buried, but you do have to repeat yourself a lot on Blue Sky. And in the past, there was a lot of repeating myself and trying to trick the algorithm into showing people my post about this crowdfunding campaign I have. Yeah. So there's a lot of work that goes into it, and you need to be emotionally prepared for it. Um, I'm going to put the name of the book into the chat. I don't know if that'll help for people watching later, but it's Kickstarter for Authors by Anthea Sharp. I think you might need the L in there. It's Anthea L. Sharp. But anyway, I
Well,
read that one. It's
Internet and Sharp will get you there.
Yes, yes. So the Kickstarter for Authors book, she just ran a Kickstarter for a new version of that, because Kickstarter has changed a lot since she wrote the original book. So there's lots of tips in that on how to leverage the pre-launch, which I think is really good advice for people running crowdfunding
And
campaigns.
I just want to ask you too, like, you are going, when you do your Kickstarter, you're not trying